be as fluent as
organic
it needs to be. Yeah, organic as it needs to be.
Well, I mean, the public don't need to know about it.
No, exactly. You're gonna edit it however you need to.
No, I'm gonna cut it straight, man. I told you, you know how I am. I'm just like you. You just said it.
Yeah.
If it comes out, it comes out, right? I didn't mean for it to come out that way. I
man.
apologize.
Yeah, right? I try to keep the mouth clean a little bit. That's the only thing I try to do.
You said, you what?
I try to keep the mouth clean. Not too much cursing.
Man.
I mind.
I know.
Me and you, if we flowing, but if we're going on tape.
Yeah.
Act like that's what it really is.
Right, exactly.
That's how it really
goes. Exactly.
So your vision though, like when did you really start realizing what you had? Put it that way.
Well, I mean, you don't really you don't visualize the end point. The end point is built over a period of time. So it's not, you know, people think that you're, you know, that something's carrying you, but in actuality is what you did this morning when you got up and enjoyed this great interview.
Right.
It's because you have to get up and you have to build it one step at a time. And you're building something new that has never been built before. I mean, nobody has ever thought the thoughts that you're thinking because they're unique to you. And that's why you're here. It's not because you're like me, because you're unique in yourself. And I think that you have to celebrate that and to enjoy that. And it shouldn't be stressed out with lack of food and opportunity. You know, we created Torpedopot so it can knock all that out the game.
Man, that's amazing.
We get rid of all that. Get rid of all of it. We will get rid of all of that. This will be a new world.
And I'm with that 100%, man. When we can have at least a place where we know we can eat, then we can challenge people as to what they're talking about.
That's
you know
very
what I mean?
true.
Because like
Very true.
we have to at least find room for those that are less fortunate, and so that allows us to give a little bit of a, you know, hey, you don't know better, maybe you don't know, or whatever. But for us, you know, we know you can do better because I didn't come from giving in to me. You didn't come from giving it to you.
Let me just take a look at it though. Is that inequality is by design. Inequality is by design. So it's you know, the way we structure our society is the reason why we have food shortages right now. Because we structured inequalities to be that way. And so a lot of the food subsidies you think that are going to farmers and all this stuff, these are big landowners throughout the United States who have long-term agreements with the Department of Agriculture. And so, no, they're not going to you. That's why you're not really impacted by it. And so, you know, these are contracts that need to be fulfilled. And, you know, hopefully one day we can try to fulfill those contracts.
And I'm in 100% agreement with you. Now, the infrastructure is something like that. When I talk to people like you, usually, like or me, they go, "Oh yeah, we just love growing. And we love food, and look what we can do." And that's one thing. But Darral, what you are talking about and was roped me in so deeply, and what has given me the excitement is that you kind of have an idea for, well, not kind of, you're implementing an idea that's real and is an answer to exactly what we're talking about. That's hard to conceptualize.
But you know what's even harder to conceptualize? This is going to blow your mind. It's that you're part of the process.
Amen.
And so when I say part of the process, I don't mean that somehow you're in as a business or now you're going to make millions of dollars. What I mean the part of the process is that we designed this Torpedopot to consume you. You don't have a chance. You don't have a fucking chance. Excuse me. You don't have a chance. I designed it to be a virus. You can't walk away from it. You're forced to deal with it. So it's not you accepting the Torpedopot. It's rather the Torpedopot wants to accept you.
Oh, I love that.
That's the nature of the design.
There you go for that.
Yeah, that's the nature of the design.
So like,
and I'm not trying to be, you know, I'm just that I believe that those type of systems, they should be a part of our lifestyle.
Love that.
It should be who we are. You know, there's no big and there's just opportunity and chance, and hopefully we can. It comes like a circular thing around to everyone.
Yeah. So with that, you know what, I was focused for many years on like, look, since our food for our children's garbage, and that's what they're actually building their lives on, why can't we start with like this type of stuff and say, hey, at least you know that some of the food's good, and that'll kind of start to address some of the inequalities, or at least it will give them a basis of health. Because I think all this comes back to health. You know, we wouldn't be doing any of this stuff. We wouldn't be thinking about none of this stuff if it wasn't for our
That is very
healthy
true.
benefits.
That's very true. Very
And
true.
I think so. Sometimes, like you said, me and you are in it because we're into food, and that means that everybody's in it because of food. So in the same concept, everybody should be thinking about their health too. But they don't put a beautiful torpedo pot totally connected with health. They just think it as gardening. And
Well,
that's why the concepts, you know, you have to be a little bit deeper at first.
But I'm asking this question because, let's say, for instance, my neighbor, they eat food, but
Right.
they may be looking for their retirement. Some may be in it for just a retirement. Some people in it for greed.
Right.
I mean, look at our food supply. It's because of greed.
Right.
I mean, it's not fairly distributed, and it's not fairly agriculturalized, you know, and so it has its problems. But then, you know, systems are failing in this age, and they're failing because they're, you know, they may no longer have the global reach that they had before. And so we have to change the, you know, the way we do business,
Right.
and to understand who our new clients are. And that's why you emerged. You're one of the new clients
Absolutely.
that is out there. You know, whether you're the client, or we brought you as a client, or you helping us as a client. And, you know, it's a system, and we all work off each other. There's no longer CEO. Everybody's a part of the business.
No, but I love that about
You know
it.
what I mean?
think, for me, when you begin to talk about your business and the way your mind is geared, I always see it going back to the torpedo pot, because the torpedo pot is always a basis of that whole network. You're not just saying it's not the water, it's not just the nutrients, it's not just the pot, it's not the placement, it's not the sun, it's all of those things, and at least having a little bit of hindsight or knowledge, genius in your case, to be able to put those things together where they work like this.
Yeah, work in unison in a small device like, yeah.
So I call it, like, you know, for me, it's another artist, a genius artist has given us a 3D picture. So with that, it's even higher than that. You're teaching people about what is their thing to feed their bellies, and even higher than that, it's keeping that system pure so their health is
my
good.
God, that's so
So
true.
you got
That's so
it,
true.
man. And
That's
I
so
didn't.
true.
You generally, when I meet people who are into this whole gardening thing, or for whatever reason, it usually stops like
Right.
at one place.
Right,
It
right,
just,
right.
it
At
just
the garden.
stops. Yeah, it just stops at the garden,
Yeah,
or it just stops at, hey, I wanted to do this for my own family. But what you've done is already started to say, hey, man, this system's broke. We need you, and we need you, and we need you to understand that our old ag is broken. And if we don't start to do this, have these dialogues, have these conversations, teach these new concepts, we're going to find ourselves with no food. And if the food's there, it's going to be the chemical stuff that mostly we're getting now. So, you know, to be able to pick up that okra like we did a little earlier, pick up that celery, and just pop it in our mouth.
Oh my God!
And eat it. That's silly, you know. But it's beautiful because, I mean, in 5 feet, like you're saying, 5 square feet,
Yes.
we could feed 100 people. Wow. You know what I mean? One food, one feeding, and then to know that stop it, chop it, and start all over
Oh my
again,
God!
right? So I personally, I love everything about your concept. I think that the direction that I want to go in is
I'm glad you're bringing that up. Thank
your
you. I appreciate that.
microgreens and your lettuces,
Right.
because personally that's part of my diet.
Okay.
And like when we started growing greenhouse lettuce, in order to get a nice head, it's about 45 to 60 days.
Okay.
But in order to get what's baby lettuce or to start a lettuce, it's only 14 to 24 days.
Right.
So when you're looking at that, I learned what real lettuce tastes like, because everybody likes iceberg lettuce because they think that's what it is.
Right.
Well, iceberg water is nothing but water. There's no real nutritional value. So
I'm glad you brought that up. Great point.
And let's go back to romaine.
Yeah.
Now everybody's romaine just because that's what everybody sees. But we're talking about microgreens, pea shoots, sunflower shoots.
Oh my God.
But and imagine that that's your new salad.
Right.
So who's not taking that? Because a lot of people think salad is like, in order to talk about health, that's like a diet.
Right.
But you're just eating water. And you're eating
what a lot of you don't know,
stuff, you know?
a lot of you don't know is that even with the Torpedopot, the reason why, I strongly encourage people to use the Torpedopot for microgreens is because our radish, it takes about 30-something days for radish to do its full growth.
Yes.
When we put them in as microgreens, we're able to get them in about 9 to 15 days.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And you just shoot them on down,
yes.
and then you either have the roots at the bottom, all the parts of the radish can be used for food. And so you have to use your ingenuity to find out what you're cooking, how you want to develop your diet. What do you need? Do you need more substance? Do you need more leaves? We always tell our clients that you need to have 7 basic things in your growing container. 7 basic things. You've got to have corn. That's your breads. That's your cereals. You crush it down, you use it. In addition, corn, the seeds can be used forever. So you use 1 corn, and you get 100 new kernels. So the multiplication effect is tremendous. So you gotta have corn in your diet. Next thing you need to have in your growing environment, you gotta have sunflower. I mean, what good is growing if you have no oil? What can you cook with?
Right.
So you need sunflower. You take the seeds, you crush them down, and with sunflowers, in our 1 sunflower planter, we may be able to grow about 30 heads of sunflower in 1 planter. So you need the oil because you need to be able to cook with. And you need winter squash. Winter squash is great because you can store it and you don't have to have it you can have it for a long period of time. The summer squash is great, it's disposable, and you eat it and it's actually delicious. But the winter goes over the winter. You really do need the winter squash.
The winter squash that we had a chance to, you showed me all on that.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And so we had like 20 to 30 in that 5. I mean, in realistic.
Say that again. I'm listening. You're right.
20 to 30 winter squash in a small 5-foot area, and which is the genius of Darral, which we're trying to say. Like, I know I've grown squash before, but it was probably about 4 when it's laid out over a few areas.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
And the vine runs all over the place. It does. It really does. Yeah.
And that's a wild concept to know. It's the control factor too.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because of these straight neck yellow squash, we're able to get 20 in a small area, and for the curved neck squash, we're able to get right now about 8. For the zucchini, we're going to get about 8. For the cheetah squash, we're going to get about 20. From the spaghetti squash, you're going to get about 5.
Yeah.
But when you see all of this put together, you're looking at all these squash that are literally at about 10 feet.
Yes.
The growing area is only 10 feet going across. That's wild, dude. And so a lot of you are experiencing a lot of squash that don't get pollinated, and they rot. Now, if I'm producing close to 60 squash in 10 feet, you can imagine the pollination effect that's taking place.
Right.
The question is, no, it isn't. Because of the concentrations that we have them so close to each other, that make them more likely to get pollinated. And that's why we have so many of them. And we don't go out, we don't have to pollinate, we don't do any of that stuff. Nobody has time to do that stuff. I'm going to leave an hour from work, making something amount of dollars an hour to come to pollinate my squash. No, life is not like that. I don't see it that way.
No, that's a beautiful thing, I guess. To your genius again, like we spoke before, if you're a gardener, it's a lazy man way. You can kind of find a little bit more time, like Darral's saying. You don't have to so much worry about picking every weed and watering every day, 2 or 3 times a day in this gorgeous weather when it's like 90 degrees. I have a few planters and I know I better hit them 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, that's so true.
If I don't hit them 2 or 3 times,
that is so true.
They're going to get burned up.
That's so true.
So with your system, the way you have it all together in one concept, it's I haven't seen. I just took a witness to some of these plants. I didn't see one burn. And you go to my house, you got at least 10 burn. But that's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, that's the way it is.
You win and lose.
Well, no, it's just, you know, at your time, which you're the genius and you've been doing greenhouses for 10 years, man. I mean, you've been doing it for 10, and at the time you were advanced in your age.
And I learned. You know what I mean? I learned. That's what I mean. If you came in and talked to me, I'm all into what you're talking about. Because that's how I covered.
Right. Exactly.
My best teachers were one of my old partners, a 70-year-old man from Puerto Rico.
Wow.
Just that's all he used to do was grow.
Wow.
And so he taught me about the different type of root plants that look gorgeous, like the elephant ears, and they're called taros, and there's a couple different types. And he even made me some of that food. So they're a root at the bottom, even though they look big and gorgeous, you can still eat that. And there's certain types of it's either taro or elephant ear, and there's one more.
I've heard of that, but I've never tried it before.
Oh man, it's good.
Really?
It's like a sweet potato slash potato slash like radish.
Wow.
It's a very interesting taste, and the texture's like that. But I mean, learning that, I learned that they all grow back. I learned that whole elephant ear plant is also something you can eat.
Yeah.
And then you take it out, you eat it just like you said. Throw that one root back in the ground. Guess what? It's coming back up.
This is what we're talking about.
Yeah. Sustainability.
I was about to say the exact same word. Sustainability.
You got it.
That's it. And so, you know,
that's what's killer key. And not like I said, along with health and food, it wraps totally around sustainability.
It wraps totally around there. It does.
And sustainability, we have to know what that means. It just means that it can be sustained.
Right.
Because like I said, I had the same thing going on, but it don't look like that. And every year I have to either move out my soil or move the whole system around, maybe change the pot, and that's why the answers to the Torpedopot are right there for you. Using the materials over again. A container that's not only just good looking, it actually helps the whole product of the whole plant. And I mean, that's your genius, because when I heard that, I mean, it just makes sense. But it's not, just so you know, it is not out there anywhere. I have never bought a pot with any kind of sustainability that's good for the plant. It's just a nice pot. That's all it ever is. Aside from like the terracottas, like they collect heat a little bit. They absorb the heat. That's their thing. But yours has its own.
Yeah, we went out to all of the in the Pennsylvania area. We went out to a lot of the companies who manufacture and distribute flower pots. We went to a lot of gardening places, nurseries, and we interviewed them. We said, hey, listen, you have all these beautiful flower pots, but and in short, we asked them, how many are designed to grow plants? And they all said none of them. So there is no growing system in the world right now that grows food besides Torpedopot. And now that we have the patents for our products, we're offering it to the world because we know that they need. And I think you said sustainability, and that's why I like talking to you, because you carry the conversation to a whole new different level. I love your arguments. I love the way you converse, and that's what it is. Remember now, let's say for instance you had $1, and 80% of that dollar you had to spend on food. The rest was everything else. Well, that's about a lot of countries in the world. 80% of that dollar is spent on generating food. And when they generate the food, they have to pump money to grow food. See, food is supposed to be something that grows. One seed should turn to 100 seeds, which should turn to 1,000 and 1,000,000 seeds. But somehow we have one seed, we have to pump money to get 10 seeds, and pump money to carry it to the marketplace, pump money to package it, pump money to clean all that pollution in the atmosphere. In other words, we're going backwards.
Right. Agree.
And so, you know, that's what this is about, sustainability. When you take 80% of that dollar and now you throw it in a sustainable system that's growing your food, well, you never ever have to grow your food again in your life. Why? Because, well, the secret about growing food is that nobody can grow food. Food grows by itself.
Right.
And so what Torpedopot is a sustainable growing solution where you just drop your seeds in and he'll let them grow themselves. See, when we remove you from the process, then your plant tends to live longer. Because a lot of people don't know how to grow their plants. They think, and they've been taught an organic environment and this environment, that. What it is that you need a sustainable environment. Torpedopot has a sustainable biotic, where the biology, the living organisms in that soil can now be sustained so they can have sex and produce fruit like you've never seen before.
And it's like, but your concepts are kind of contrary to maybe some of the things that are out there. Like most of us people know about Miracle Grow.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's kind of like they feel sustainable and set it and forget it type.
Right.
You know, because the Miracle Grow has all those concepts in it. But you said something to me earlier that I'm sure your audience should take a page from. You said something about the materials that are put in the Miracle Grow, that they have no fiber content.
Wow. Yeah, you're right. I mean, one of the things they tell us in our cereals is that you can eat sugars, but you need some fiber.
Right.
And what is fiber? We get cellulose for plants, I guess, you know? Yeah. And so my thing is that, well, a lot of the soil that you're getting nowadays, they don't have plant matter in particulates.
Right.
And we have to ask ourselves, what do plants really eat? What is a satisfied plant? I mean, if I give it chemicals and it turns green and it's growing as pretty and it grows, does that satisfy the plant? Or if I grow in a natural organic environment, does that satisfy the plant? And ultimately, we need to ask ourselves what satisfies us.
Right.
Are we satisfied with plants that are grown with chemicals? Or does our body and our health profile develop with an organic, growing solution, biotic growing solution? Right. And from the chemicals, we're starting to find out that from the hybrids across the board, there's so much contamination that if they start to grow and the plant starts to retain its structure, that they tend to collapse and you see a lot of spoilage instead of dehydration. But there's a lot of problems across the board in our food system.
I think that's a deep concept, because I would have never thought that that's actually the reason why they start to rot and corrode, but it makes total sense.
I know, man.
Yeah, I know. It's like if you speed development.
It is so crazy.
Yeah,
it is so crazy,
but
man.
it makes so much sense.
Oh my God, it's
because
so crazy.
If you speed development,
right,
it's something that you want to do. You rush, you hustle, you do whatever. It's most likely incomplete, and just because you don't see it, because we don't see it, we think it's not.
Right.
But like you're saying, is that cellular membrane.
You are so right.
The way the plant's drug, it's just not. It's not the way it's supposed to be.
I love it, and it's part of we call it genetic intelligence. Everything that grows is growing off of some type of genetic intelligence. It doesn't just grow by itself.
Right.
It starts with some concept, some genetic concept that allows it to form and to develop and grow. And when we take that genetics and we start to do hybrids, those aren't really stable solutions that have existed for a period of time. Because normally when you have a plant, it's feeding off the environment, it's enjoying the climate, and about what regions it's in, and it develops based upon that. Its genetic intelligence comes out based upon those factors that are all around it. And so you're going to get in is what you're going to get out. And so we look at the genetic intelligence and we ask ourselves, is this genetic intelligence stable enough? Well, then sometimes it's not. We've grown cucumbers where in one planter in just 24 inches, we grew 42 cucumbers in one planter. Just back there, Brian saw that in just 5 small planters, we're growing 41 cucumbers. You got to grow some more.
There's 20 more in there, at least.
And so I mean, but yet last year we grew cucumbers in the same place the watermelons grow, Brian. And they were beautiful, and then all of a sudden the species collapsed. So we're having problems trying to tell people is that you think that your food is unstable at the supermarket, but your food is unstable across the board.
Wow.
Even at the seed stock, even at the soil. You're looking at a whole contaminated environment. That's why it's collapsing. Not just from not being able to do supply chain and be able to meet people's needs.
Right.
But people have lost confidence in their food, and that's part of the collapse.
No, that is where Torpedopot is really the answer to a lot of the questions for now. Because like any technology, your genius will get better and everything will get better. But that's key, because even me, I don't necessarily think of the whole picture. And like you said, it's not just the supply line, it's the seeds and it's the soil and it's everything at that level, which we usually as consumers or normal people would never be able to address.
Well, that is so true.
We wouldn't be able to start to address that.
Oh my gosh. And
but with Torpedopot,
oh my gosh.
So the network, I'll make it akin to the mycelium in the soil.
Okay.
When we're all connected like that, when you're doing the same thing that I'm doing down the street, maybe every other, look at how much
it
is.
Yes.
And so I know that you were trying to advance your genius through educating other people and educating a community of people so that we all of us can eat well. And I applaud it.
Thank you.
Even when I first started, I didn't think it was as deep as you took me to that. I just thought, he figured out something that was better, a watering technique, or let's just say drip irrigation.
Right.
But it's not. It's with everything, and that I love it.
Thank you, man.
I'm looking to get in it, get wet, start figuring out what environment it's going to be looking like, and I know that right now I have a whole lot of young minds that are about to get this beautiful thing, and I'm starting with that.
So I'm going to turn off because we need to do some willing and dealing. Anytime you meet someone like a E.F. Hutton, meet with the Elon Musk.
That's you. I'm just the guy. I'm the guy sitting next to the guy. Just remember that. I'm a horse. You just got to ride me. That's all it is to it.
I'm going to tell you guys, you got to go down. This is the most important part of the day, the money.
Thank y'all.
Talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Great combo.